Hey everyone, another video for you. This time we're going to talk about carburetors and this Solex carburetor in particular. Just thought I'd give everybody a little bit of an overview on how it works and what the status is on it. So as you can see, it's pretty close to being complete and ready to go back on the car. Before we get into kind of stripping it back down and talking about the parts inside, thought I'd talk real quick about what actually is a carburetor. At its very basic, a carburetor takes fuel and air and mixes them together into a vapor that the engine can burn. You can't put liquid gasoline or liquid diesel or anything like that directly into an engine. The liquid itself doesn't burn. The vapors are what burns. So carburetors help create that vapor by mixing the liquid gasoline and air into a proper mixture for your engine to burn. Carburetors have been around pretty much since internal combustion engines. There were some early alternatives to carburetors, some wicks and some manual pumping sprayers, that kind of thing. But pretty much since the very early days, some carburetor in one way, shape, or form or another existed. Up until about the 1950s, when a new technology called fuel injection started taking place. There was a slow adoption for that. Fuel injection is a lot more efficient, higher output, lower emissions. I don't think there are any cars on the market right now that you can buy new that don't use fuel injection. I think every major carbureted car is no longer being made. But you will still find carburetors on all your lawn equipment, your lawnmowers, your snow blowers, even your weed eaters and your leaf blowers, if they're gasoline powered, will have some form of carburetor on them to mix that air and fuel. So this is the carburetor from my Singer. I've done a few pictures and videos about it, so I thought I'd use this as an example to just kind of give you an idea of how a carburetor actually works. They all work pretty much on the same principle, they just accomplish it in different ways. This guy has an air filter on top, so as the air comes in, it goes through the filter and down into the chamber here. So we're going to just go ahead and take that off so you can sort of see what's going on there. And of course it's fighting me because it's a tight fit. Coincidentally, I don't think this is the original air cleaner for this car. This looks like it is probably from a early Volkswagen Bug. So I'm going to actually look into that, see if I can find a replacement for it, because I'm having trouble finding a filter of that exact size. Anyway, back to the carburetor. So fuel and air. Air comes in through the air filter and down into this chamber here. Fuel comes in through this pipe, which eventually goes all the way back to the fuel tank. It's pumped up through with a fuel pump, either electric or mechanical, depends on the car. So the fuel comes in through here and it goes into this little chamber here, this kind of egg-shaped chamber here. And I have this carburetor mostly apart just so I can take the screws out quickly. As the fuel comes in, there is a brass float in this carburetor. Most carburetors have something like this. May not be specifically a brass float, might be plastic, might be some other method, an arm, a lever, or whatever. But in this case, as the fuel comes in, the float floats up, and as it floats up, it will push onto this little needle valve. Once this needle valve is pushed in, it blocks more fuel from coming in. So that's what prevents your carburetor from just spewing gas out as it's going to burn less than it's got coming in. Frequently on older cars, this valve gets gummed up. It is especially susceptible to ethanol and other byproducts that are in modern gasoline. So if you have a carbureted car and you see gas pouring out of it, this is probably your first place to look. Every carburetor that I'm aware of will have some form of shutoff valve. Excuse me. Acts very much like a toilet valve, float in a toilet that goes up and stops the water from coming into the tank. So same idea, same principle. Pretty simple. Fuel comes in here, goes through here into this chamber. As this chamber fills up, the float comes up. The float pushes the little button on the bottom of the valve, shuts off the gas from coming in. So pretty simple. So you've got two chambers here. This guy here, as I mentioned, is where the gasoline goes, and over here is where the gas and oil or air mix. So as the gas comes in here, it will go through this tiny little hole down here. I might be able to get down there a little closer to see it. This little hole right here. This hole connects to this brass jet. So as the gasoline actually enters this chamber, coming up through this jet, which helps atomize it. So once the fuel is mixed in the chamber here, when you step on the throttle, this is your throttle link. This actually is a cable that connects to the gas pedal. When you step on the throttle, you will open this butterfly, which then, as you can hopefully see, opens it all the way down, open, straight out into the engine. This carburetor sits on top of the intake manifold, which is where the gas air mixture enters the engine. So as you accelerate, you push on the gas pedal opens this little butterfly valve more and more. That would be wide open throttle, and it lets more and more fuel air mixture into the intake valve, or intake manifold, thus burning more gas, thus making your car go faster in theory. That's really it. They're pretty simple when you understand the concept and the general method that they work. All carburetors, whether it be this strange little Solex, an SU, a Weber, a Carter, a Tillotson, any other carburetor you find, is going to work on some variation of this principle. Air, fuel, mixed, dumped down into the inlet, the intake manifold, where it's sucked in by the valves into the cylinders, compressed and burned by the pistons and the spark plugs. So that's really it. Pretty simple. Step on the gas, it opens this opens up, more fuel air mixture dumps into the intake, and off you go. One thing with older carbureted cars, they needed to be warmed up. You'll find this on your lawnmowers and other equipment even today that uses carburetors. They have a choke on them. Chokes work in one of two ways with the same end result. They will either restrict the amount of air or add more fuel to the mix. What that does is it makes the fuel mixture richer, which is easier to burn, and which helps get your car started, or your lawnmower started, or your weed eater started. That's what the choke does. In some cases, it'll shut down the amount of air allowed in, but leave the same amount of fuel going in, which obviously makes it for a richer mixture. In this case, and in the case of most of the carburetors that I'm familiar with, it will actually add more gasoline or more fuel to the mixture to enrich the mixture. This one uses a choke right here, and this choke is a little disc. I'm going to try and take this off here without completely dropping everything. The first time you ever take one of these things apart, have the exploded diagram handy, which I've got right here, and take so many pictures, a ridiculous amount of pictures. So this little guy here, the choke cable goes through here, and as you pull the choke, that would be off, and as you pull on the choke in your dashboard, it's going to pull this cable, which is going to pull that over, which is going to get all these screws out. Sorry, this is a little bit spring-loaded, so it's a little dicey to try and move. So this is with the choke fully on. And you can see this little brass disc here is lined up with this hole. What happens here is there's a hole here where additional gas will get pulled in, dumped into here, and it eventually comes out down here in the throat of the carburetor. So when you have this open, it allows gas to come in, extra gas to come in, go down, and come down in here, which makes the mixture much more rich. Then as the car warms up, you slowly push the choke off, and you can see as I rotate the disc that this hole in the carburetor is getting blocked off by the brass disc until you get to the point where you're at about here, and you can see there's no more access to the passage that goes down to the bottom of the carburetor here. That's it. That's how this particular one works. Other cars use different methodologies for the choke, but the concept is the same. The theory is the same. Add more fuel or add less air to make it richer so that the car starts easier, or the lawnmower or the snowblower or whatever. So they all still work on the same concept and principles. They just apply it differently. So I hope this was helpful. I know I learned a lot pulling this apart because I've never done one of these Solex carburetors before, but knowing that they all do kind of work the same way, I was able to sort of puzzle my way through it. So any questions, put them in the comments below. I hope you found this useful, and I hope I didn't break my choke disc. And hopefully the next video will be me starting the Singer with this newly rebuilt carburetor on it. So until next time, thanks folks.